and nervous when it is missing. I look for what is important to others and express concern for others. I make decisions with my heart and want to be compassionate. I believe being tactful is more important than telling the cold truth. Sometimes I miss seeing or communicating the hard truth of situations, and I am sometimes experienced by others as too idealistic, mushy, or indirect. Feelers are empathetic, concerned with a civil tone in debate and with following consensus, while cold facts and dry statistics mean less to them. They react strongly to emotional stories, or what science rather dryly calls anecdotal evidence. In life, they mainly do what immediately feels right and good, and they set great store by other people's points of view, on the basis of whether they deem these people to be good or not. Try having a discussion with a strong feeler. He or she will often relate more to you as a person than to your arguments. Given that the Myers-Briggs test is particularly widespread, it is possible to quantify how the population is divided, and international studies have shown that approximately 44% of men and 76% of women are predominantly feelers. If we take the population as a whole, approximately 60% are primarily feelers. According to the Myers-Briggs measurements, the remainder, in other words, 40% of everyone and 56% of men and 24% of women, are predominantly thinkers. They can generally respond affirmatively to the following statements. I enjoy technical and scientific fields where logic is important. I notice inconsistencies. I look for logical explanations or solutions to almost everything. I make decisions with my head and want to be fair. I believe telling the truth is more important than being tactful. Sometimes I miss or don't value the people part of a situation, and I can come across as too task-oriented, uncaring, or indifferent. Thinkers are most likely to make decisions on the basis of technology, science, and logic. They prioritize what data tells them and are less concerned about opposing consensus or offending other people by acting accordingly. In a debate, it is logic rather than tone that counts. If logic conflicts with consensus, they usually follow it anyway. My guess is that Proctor is predominantly a feeler, because for decades he has behaved in a somewhat fact-resistant way. The same applies for the renowned environmental activist Paul R. Ehrlich, who in the course of a lengthy career has postulated an endless array of abortive doomsday predictions about the world's environment and resources. For example, in the 1960s, Ehrlich could not imagine that India would be able to feed 200 million people in 1980. However, today there are 1.2 billion Indians, and they are much better nourished than back then. In his book, The Population Bomb, 1968, he further stated that global population growth would be curbed by disease, war, and famine. The following year, he said of the United Kingdom, "If I were a gambler, I would take even money that England will not exist in the year 2000. He thought that the country was so overpopulated that it could collapse completely as a result of pollution and lack of resources. This did not happen, and in my opinion, the UK culinary offering has improved a great deal since he wrote the book, and both its air and its water are cleaner." And so it went on. He frequently made dramatic predictions about global famine, and added that even the United States, for all its wealth, would not be spared famine. In fact, he predicted in great detail that 65 million Americans would suffer starvation in the